Hey guys, welcome back to the things that go bump in the night. Really happy to add quite a few more reinforcements to the Blackthorn Forest army. And you can see the models I've painted. A couple of them were ones I actually forgot I painted, and it made sense to put them in this army. So sit back and enjoy, again, close up, thoughts behind them, and the sculpt itself. So up first is the Citadel Night Horror Creature of the Black Lagoon. I think he's labeled Fishman or just the Creature of the Black Lagoon. Uh, Again, produced in Citadel C18 Night Horror range. I think he is honestly beautiful. It is a shame that he is just one sculpt. They made no other alternate pose or anything like that, and you can clearly tell the inspiration is the creature from the Black Lagoon. I love that movie. I love a lot of things aquatic and especially like fishmen. Very inspired by Lovecraft's, was it Shadow over Innsmouth? I'm a big H.P. Lovecraft, as I mentioned in the introduction video, and really happy to be painting these guys up because they look like deep ones. And when I play my Cthulhu games of Sam, I can finally create a warband of these guys. So after that small ramble about the sculpt itself, I think very beautiful. You can see when I turn him around, he's chock full of just amazing detail, with all of the different textures, like the fins. Then you have the skin itself has a weird pitted texture. I'm assuming that's the early way they sculpted it to get, the scale look. So when it came to painting, I didn't have to do too much. And the paint job honestly took maybe, I want to say, 50-ish minutes. I just started with a base coat, highlighting with, I want to say, deep skin or Inarak flesh up to pallid on the fins and the stomach. And just for the skin, it's teal. I added a little bit of a black contrast, watered down, just pin washed the areas, and then highlighted up with an off white. And really happy with the color choice. I think he really pops out, and I plan to have at least a couple more of them. In the eyes, I made it red because I feel like that's a very iconic look for a fishman. This miniature is, availability wise, a little bit hard to come by. You're gonna look probably between the prices of 20 to 40-ish dollars to get one of these guys. I do think it's an amazing sculpt. It is a little bit pricey for what he is, but I mean, the detail to me is quite fun, and we're just really happy to have him part of the force. If I use him as a grave guard or a ghoul, it will dictate how I kind of create the unit around him. If I do ghouls, I kind of need a few more fishmen to get that group to look like aquatic themed horrors. If I do the grave guard, he's just gonna fold into the rank and file because he just, he guards the my witch's home, so that would make most sense. So let me move on to the next miniature. So up next are two more miniatures from the Citadel C18 Night Horror range, and they are Hunchbacks. One of them is called Quasimodo, and the one here is, I believe, just called the Hunchback or Hunch. And you've guys seen this guy from my D&D days. He used to actually be on the um, not the slotted tab, but the, like Grenadier, they came molded onto a base. Then during their C18 run, they made him into a slotted tab miniature, which I think is really interesting. A lot of great detail. I won't go too much into discussion of him because I had a video going, all detail into him. He has a dagger, a little cloth, a pretty nasty little fella, to be honest, and really happy with how he turned out. Now that I have a bit more time to talk about it, I'm not sure if those gaps are supposed to be his skin color. I just made it his cloth color. So let me know if you think that should be his skin. I wasn't really sure. And then his hair, I had fun with a little bit of blue. But yeah, let's go to the one I'm really happy about, Hunch. So Hunch, again, comes from the C18 Night Horror range from Citadel. This little bugger is a little bit hard to come by. Price-wise, he was not expensive. I'd say I paid $14, maybe. Pretty cheap, but it's just people actually posting him for sale. So he is quote unquote rare and difficult to get, but price wise, you're not going to pay a lot. You just have to hope someone finds him in their pile of shame and decides just to sell it. Detail wise, I like how the Hunchback has a dagger just like Quasimodo. It might be a cool theme to have, and painting him was pretty fun. Made his eye a little bit red. He's quite nasty looking. I love it, and you can tell his hair. I put three different type of browns, greens, and sepias to make it look nasty. For his knuckles and his toes, I put a little bit of pink wash too, and for his shirt, I just made it as nasty as possible with all of these different colors because I think this guy looks like a maniac, and went with some brown trousers. And the reason I painted him like this too is I want him to be generic. He could be like an Empire State Trooper or just a citizen of who knows, some Empire province that got a little bit messed up. And when I play my games of Cthulhu and Pulp with Sam, I can use this guy as like a maniac or a pseudo cultist with Quasimodo. So really happy about the miniature. I think he turned out fairly well. And again, these paint jobs are taking less than an hour to do. I'm really happy with the results considering these guys are kind of small, not too much detail, which I like. I think these models, they have the right amount of detail that makes like a painter can want to go all out or just do a pretty straightforward paint job like I did. Let me move on to the next miniatures. So up next is a ghoul. This ghoul again is from the Advanced Dungeons and Dragon range from 1985. I believe there are 9 different poses of ghouls. So if you do want to collect these miniatures to create your own ghoul unit, you won't be too bored out of poses. I went for a more deep reddish color and followed the same painting technique I did with my original ghouls with the bloodied claws and mouth. I think it just adds that extra little something. And this ghoul, honestly, I should have put in the very beginning. He is the talisman ghoul. You guys seen me paint him many moons ago, and I completely forgot about him until I opened up my talisman box, and he fits right into the army perfectly. Not much to really talk about this sculpt. He is quite ugly. His head shape is very egg-like and conical. I'm not quite sure why. And he has some clothing, which is a little bit strange compared to all my other ghouls. But this guy here, I just love the detail. Absolutely jacked. I don't know why the ghouls are so fit, but it's pretty cool. They're supposed to be disheveled and hunger-like. And this paint job, once again, less than an hour. It is just layering. You start with a base coat and add increasing amounts of, I believe it's either flayed one flesh or pallid witch flesh. And really love how the face details came out. And let me get a couple ghouls together so you can see what I mean. So we have a little golem ghoul. Oh, we have another pose of the Advanced Dungeon and Dragon ghoul, and Sam's favorite, the dancing ghoul. So the ghoul unit is really coming together, and I might as well just put the rest. So we have the actual night horror ghoul in the back, and this white from Citadel too, for the Advanced Dungeon and Dragon line. I'm gonna make him a ghoul champion or just a ghoul. He kind of fits in perfectly. He has a lot more cuts and sores, but that just could mean he's earned his stripes amongst the ranks of these guys. And you can tell by all of the crazy colors. I'm heavily inspired by the old AD movies. I'll throw up some photos of like the retro undead skin colors. I think that's a fun way to paint undead. Enough, I don't want to do the grim, dark, realistic undead. Everyone who paints vampire accounts does that, and people do it way better than me. So I'm going for this alternative route of painting them in a very flamboyant and bombastic color scheme. So there are 2 more miniatures left for the new update. Let me grab them, and at the end there'll be the army basically recap. And here are the last 2 miniatures for the update. Obviously, if you've been a fan of my channel, you know one of them is already painted and it was an older miniature. That is the Citadel, I believe he is called, oh my gosh, I forgot. He is for the Advanced Dungeons and Dragon line. He is the Shambling Mound. It just came to me. So the Shambling Mound is a creature from D&D and one of the most detailed miniatures in the Advanced Dungeon and Dragon line from 1985. I know in that video many moons ago, people compared him to a Fetid Beast, and I would say this is like the precursor to GW's Albion Fetid Beast, and I love the model so much. And when I was getting my models together for this video, it hit me like, don't I have a model that looks like, the Swamp Thing or Swamp Man, whatever you call him? So I think this miniature, amazing detail, fantastic to paint. If I have an opportunity to get one more, I would paint it. Price wise, he used to be pretty cheap. I'd say 35 to 40 bucks. But on the secondhand market, he's kind of increased to 50 to 60. Just depend. I'm sure you can still find him for the original price. It just depends if he's a new and blister or if he's poorly painted. That's the honest truth. But amazingly detailed miniature. I would use this guy as my crypt horror, as I think in my lore in the Blackthorn Forest, my witch, which I will think of a name soon, she conjures up these rotted creatures together, and I think he fits right into the place of this ragtag group of monsters. So that's him. And this cute little guy coming up. So Citadel produced amazing snotlings for the orcs and goblins, and this little bugger, I'm gonna put up the name here. I just cannot think of it at the moment, but he is not super rare, but he is one of, I believe, three mushroom snotlings. One of them is extremely tall, like it's a huge mushroom stem with a face on it. And then you have this little guy. He's kind of disturbing. I had fun painting him. He's like all these nasty, I guess like fungus holes erupted on his head. So when he walks around, he just spews gases, and his face is just, it's just so creepy and funny. So I made him, um, with human eyes. I think that's very disturbing. I think he would fit in the army perfectly solely because I feel like in all these games with witches, they create all these familiars and weird creatures just come around them. And I could see this guy wandering the Blackthorn Forest, and the witch just decides to grab him and conscript him into this fighting force. Painting wise, this guy took half an hour. I started off with a Zandri Dust, did a shade of Cassandora Yellow, and just highlighted the yellow parts up to like Baylor brown, I believe, with a little bit of white. And then just for the popped parts, I just did a wash of Druchii Violet. I wanted that just to break up his skin tone. Originally, I was going to keep him completely yellow, but he looked a little bit too silly. So this quick little wash and glaze helped break up the miniature. But he would be used most likely just as a unit filler. He could be a ghoul, he could be a graveguard, which is a little bit unbelievable, but he looks pretty feisty. But yeah, that is the update. Towards the next clip, you'll see the whole recap and what the army looks like as of now. And guys, here is the overview once again of how the army is coming along. Fairly happy again with how everything looks. A little bit ragtag, but I think it will work out still at the end. I just have to paint a couple more units. I think once I have, the movement traits done and the units are actually the minimum size, things won't look so odd. So I'm really happy with the crypt horror unit. The wolves, I'm still missing two others, waiting on them in the post. The ghoul unit I have to make a bit larger, but I'm fairly happy with them. The ragtag group of other creatures, they're either going to be ghouls as well or graveguard. I'm still playing around with list, and I wouldn't mind if they were ghouls. I would just have to make units more specific. Like this unit is the actual unit of ghouls. One unit would be like maybe a unit of giant spiders, random creatures, and the hunchbacks. And then one unit can be more aquatic themed. But yeah, overall, I'm happy with how it looks. It's starting to look like a pseudo real army, But I hope you guys enjoyed this update once again. The next couple videos will probably be more painting, but I do have a couple of conversions in mind. Again, compared to the Araby, this army isn't so sculpting heavy. I think this one's more focused on the theme and using as many classical Citadel miniatures that I love and just, make an army. But conversions will be coming. I'm just planning out a couple things. But till then, hope you enjoyed the video.